Good day, everyone. I am Jessa Rose Pasquilita, a second year student taking a Bachelor of Secondary Education, major in English at Negros Oriental State University, Shatan campus. And in this video, I'm going to discuss the Negros Oriental and its literature. So sit back, relax, enjoy, and I hope that you can get something in this educational video. Without further ado, let's start. So the topics that we will going to discuss are the following: historical background, early forms of literature from the province, contribution of the universities to the literature of the province, Silliman Writers Workshop, writers from Negros Oriental or who have taught or participated in the Writers Workshop, and we will going to give an analysis of the following poems, including the background of the poet. So we have Bonsai by Edith Tiempo, Cuernos de Negros by Elsa Martinez Conscoliela, The Bell Counts in Our Blood by Marley Alunan, and Brave Woman by Grace Monte de Ramos. So for the historical background, the Spanish explorers on the expedition of Miguel Lopez de Legazpi first came to the island in April 1565. Legazpi dropped anchor in Bohol. Land sent his men to scout the island. Because of the strong currents of the Tañon Strait between Cebu and Negros, they were carried for several days and forced to land on the western side of the island. They reported seeing many dark-skinned inhabitants, and they called the island Negros. Negro means black in Spanish. That's why they called Negros. For the Spanish colonial period, the Spanish colonization of the Philippines, which began in the 16th century, greatly influenced Negros Oriental's literary development. During this period, much of the literature produced in the region was in Spanish and revolved around the themes of religion, colonialism, and patriotism. Catholicism played a significant role, and religious texts and sermons were prominent forms of literary expression. During the American colonial period, with the arrival of American forces in the late 19th century, English became an influential language in Negros Oriental. American colonial rule brought new literary influences and educational opportunities. English language literature, including novels, short stories, and poetry, began to emerge during this period. The authors explored a range of topics, including a local folklore, social issues, and nationalism. For the Japanese occupation and World War II, the Japanese occupation of the Philippines during the World War II significantly impacted Negros Oriental. Literature during this period often focused on resistance against the Japanese forces and the hardships endured by the Filipino people. Many writers used their works to express nationalistic sentiments and inspire hope during a tumultuous time. For the post-war era, after World War II, Negros Oriental experienced a surge in literary production as Filipino writers sought to capture the changing social and political landscape. This period witnessed the rise of vernacular literature written in the local languages, such as Cebuano and Hiligaynon, in addition to English and the Filipino. Writers tackled various themes including rural life, poverty, social inequality, and the struggle for independence. For the contemporary period, in recent decades, Negros Oriental literature has continued to evolve and diversify. Many authors have gained recognition both locally and internationally. They explore a wide range of topics, including environmental concerns, cultural identity, modernization, and globalization. Various literary forms such as novels, short stories, poetry, and plays continue to embrace by writers in the region. How old Dumaguete really is? So if we go as far back as 1572, when Diego Lopez Povedano first named the spot Dumaguete. Them it is 444 years old. If as far back as 1734 when Morelio Villar I used the name Dumaguete, then it is 282 years old. But if we go by the standards of official records and start off with the 1890 Spanish colonial official declaration of the place as the capital of the newly separated Negros Oriental, then it is 126 years old. The island Buglas was said to be peopled with dark-skinned natives, hence Negros. Settlers believe in anting-anting or charm, in abat or evil sorcerers, in onglo or forest creatures, as well as in omens and evil spirits who live in rivers, big rocks, and delicate trees. Miguel de Luarca in Relación de las Islas Filipinas estimated that the population of Buglas at that time in 1580 was somewhere between 6 or 7,000, and that the site of the island facing Cebu was sparsely populated. Buglas, for the most part, was considered a remote wilderness with no economic, cultural, or social significance. Yes, our ancestors believe, or up until now, they believe that there are abat and anting-anting. So the early forms of literature from the province, we have the story of Sikalak and Sikavay, which is a central Visayan myth explaining the origin of the first man. Sikalak and Sikavay is a story among the Pintados, who are described as fair-skinned people whose males decorate their whole body with tattoos. They lived in the islands of Central Visayas, especially Bohol, Cebu, and Leyte. So that's the picture of Sikalak and Sikabay. Now let's move on to the contribution of universities to the literature of the province. So academic influences in literature and teaching English as a second language. So here are the following universities. We have Silliman University from 1901 and St. Paul University from 1904. So St. Paul Academy, now a university, was the only school in the Visayas area that opened for the school for a few children with SPC nuns teaching French language and French literature at that time. Serafin Perez was the school principal and English teacher during the war in the public school system in Dumaguete. Adult classes in Nippongo Japanese language was opened in Bais and Tanhai. And it was also Silliman Institute which placed Dumaguete on the world map. So can you imagine that? That was really amazing. The establishment of Silliman inspired the setting up of other educational institutions. The first of this, St. Paul's College, Dumaguete in 1904. It also inspired Foundation College, established by Dr. Vicente Cinco, who was an alumnus of Silliman University. We also have Silliman Writers Workshop. It was established in 1962 by the late Edilberto K. Tiempo and National Artist for Literature Edith L. Tiempo, of course, his wife of Silliman University. It is the first and longest running creative writing workshop in Asia. It is commonly regarded as the most prestigious in the entire region, having been able to produce many of the most influential and renowned names in Philippine literature. And we also have a lot of teachers from University of the Philippines that was part of the Silliman Writers Workshop. So here are the writers from Negros Oriental or who have taught or participated in the Writers Workshop. So we have Ida Rivera Ford from Sulu and came to Negros Oriental in 1949. The first editor of Sand and Corals and finished English degree in Silliman. We also have Merly Alunan. She graduated from Silliman University with a MA in creative writing in 1974. She received local and international awards, honors, and distinctions. We also have Rowena Tiempo Tervillas. She has also been the director in residence of the Silliman National Writers Workshop. Tordevillas received a bachelor's degree in 1971 and a master's in 1978, both in creative writing. She also received a PhD in English literature, all from Silliman University. We also have Ayan Kasukot. He was a fellow for fiction at the Silliman University National Writers Workshop in Dumaguete in 2000. He graduated cum laude in Silliman University with a BA in Mass Communication in 1999 and then an MA in English, also creative writing in 2012. Coordinator and panelist of the Silliman University National Writers Workshop. He also does graphic design and taught literature, creative writing, and film at Silliman University. We also have Mr. Cesar Ruiz Aquino. He was born and raised in Zamboanga, Philippines. He was educated at Silliman University, UP Diliman, and Ateneo de Manila. At the age of 19, he received an invitation to and a virtual writing fellowship at the first 1962 Silliman National Writers Workshop in Dumaguete that included as fellows Wilfredo D. Noliado, Jose Lansang Jr., and Wilfredo Pascua Sanchez, as well as mentors Nick Joaquin, Franz Arceliana, and Edilberto Tiempo and Edith Tiempo. And now we're going to give the analysis of the poems, but before that, here are the backgrounds of the author. So, Bonsai by Edith Tiempo. She is born in Bayombong, Nueva Vizcaya in 1919. After her marriage to Edilberto Tiempo in 1940, the couple moved to Dumaguete City, where she earned her BA in English in 1947. She later pursued her MA at the University of Lua as part of the famed Lua Writers Workshop, graduating in 1950. In 1958, she earned her PhD at the University of Denver in Colorado in 1958. In 1962, together with her husband, she co-founded the Silliman University National Writers Workshop. So I'm not going to read all the poems because it will really take time. So I'm going to directly give my analysis from the poems. So the poem is about the human capacity for memory keeping by collecting keepsakes. Nurturing great memories is the main theme of the poem. The poem is about the art of remembering and the joy of collecting things that remind us of a memorable happening in the past. The speaker begins by saying that she collects keepsakes in a box, in a hollow post, or in her shoe. This is not a metaphor. She's being literal here. She's talking about real boxes, real hollow posts, and real shoes. In the next several lines, the speaker provides example of the things she collected as keepsakes: her son's letter, her father's necktie, a Roto picture, an Indian shawl, and a money bill. In the final stanza, the speaker proclaims that this practice of collecting memories and keepsakes will be with humankind until the end of time. Life and love can be scaled down to something very simple, like a letter, picture, or a shawl. Something so simple that you can, without remorse, hand over to a child nearby. Bonsai is a Japanese art of growing miniature trees in pots. The poet used it in her poem as a metaphor for the human capacity of keeping and nurturing memories through tiny keepsakes. Bonsai is the art of shrinking trees. Collecting keepsakes is the art of shrinking love, life, and memories. For example, the letter that the speaker keeps in a box is a miniature version of the love and memories she and her son have for each other. The next one we have Cuernos de Negros by Elsa Martinez Conscoliola. Elsa Martinez Conscoliola was born in Dumaguete City, where she earned her AB and MA for creative writing at Silliman University. She was also Miss Silliman way back in 1964. Later, she was Vice President for Academic Affairs at the University of La Salle and retired in 2010 after 32 years of service. So Cuernos de Negros portrays a vivid and nostalgic reflection on the transformation of a mountainous landscape and the loss of natural beauty and cultural heritage. The protagonist recalls his childhood, reminiscing about his father's labor in clearing wild grass and their shared connection to the land. The description of the mountains, rivers, and the fertile fields portrays a once abundant and picturesque landscape. However, the mention of dry winds and the sun's thieving eye suggests the encroachment of adverse forces, possibly alluding the environmental degradation and the exploitation of natural resources. With the dawn comes the image of steel structures rising towards the sky, symbolizing industrialization and urban development. The mountains are metaphorically referred to as Cuernos de Negros, highlighting their distinctive beauty and cultural significance. The passage concludes with a bittersweet tone, suggesting that future generations may forget or be unaware of the area's rich history and natural splendor. However, the possibility remains that as they grow old, they may be experience visions or dreams that resurrect the beauty of Cuernos de Negros in their minds. So the next one, The Bell Counts in Our Blood by Merle Alunan. So Merle M. Alunan was born in December 14, 1943 in Dengle, Iloilo. Alunan graduated from Silliman University with an MA in Creative Writing in 1974. She teaches at the Creative Writing Center, University of the Philippines, Visayas Tacloban College. So in 1985, Dumaguete City lost Father Rudy Romano, and for 32 years, no justice was served for the priest, social worker who selflessly served the oppressed and the vulnerable. As a way of choosing not to forget the priest and his unfortunate plight during the Marcos administration, the community would ring the bells for him every 8 in the evening until he is found. The poem speaks about how the disappearance of one body marks a malady in society, affecting us all, more so if we are cradled with fear and silence. The constant ringing of the bell summons a memory to keep us from decay. The title, The Bells Count in Our Blood, immediately sets a contemplative and metaphorical tone. The mention of bells implies a sense of time, as bells are often used to mark the passing of hours or important events. The idea that these bells count in our blood suggests an inherent connection between the past and the present, indicating that the experiences and memories of our ancestors are ingrained within us. So lastly, we have Brave Woman by Grace Monte de Ramos. So Grace earned her degree in creative writing at Silliman University, where she studied under the guidance of the country's most distinguished literary couple, Edelberto K. Tiempo and Edith L. Tiempo. She first taught literature at Silliman, then worked at the Cultural Center of the Philippines before deciding to be a hands-on mother. So the poem is about a mother of 2 soldiers. She doesn't have enough money to bring her children to school. That's why she was forced to take her 2 sons to be trained as soldiers. It takes her a lot of courage to face the reality that her youngest son is now gone because of the war. The reality is that her sons were being born because they will kill and be killed. Just like the mothers of the soldiers, they are left hanging and have no clue what are appearances of those who have killed their sons. This mother is brave because she has to. And as a mother of two soldiers, you really need to be brave because whether you like it or not, your son will kill and be killed. And that is the sad reality of being a soldier. So that would be all. Thank you, and I hope that you really gained information about this educational video. So thank you, and God bless us all.